Folks, remember the 2000 election? Yeah, that nail-biter. Hanging Chads, Florida recounts. The Supreme Court stepping in. It was a political thriller, minus the competent scriptwriting. In the end, George W. Bush won. But man, it was close. Like finding out you left the oven on but it's just warm close. This wasn't just your regular election hangover, this was a full-blown political identity crisis. Half the country was ecstatic, the other half, well, let's just say they weren't putting Bush for president bumper stickers on their electric cars. The point is, the country was split right down the middle, and it felt like things could have gone either way. But what if they did? What if Al Gore, the guy who invented the internet, citation needed, had snagged those electoral votes? What would a Gore presidency have looked like? Buckle up, because we're diving headfirst into the swirling vortex of alternate history. Okay, let's talk about the big one, climate change. It's the issue that has been looming over us for decades, and it's only getting more urgent. The science is clear, the impacts are visible, and the need for action is undeniable. Al Gore basically made it his whole personality after 2000. He became the face of climate activism, dedicating his life to raising awareness and pushing for change. Remember that documentary he did, An Inconvenient Truth? It was a wake-up call for many, highlighting the dire state of our planet and the urgent need for action. Yeah, the one with all the melting glaciers and depressing graphs. It painted a stark picture of the future if we didn't change our ways. Gore winning in 2000 might have been Earth's best shot. Imagine a president who prioritized the environment and took bold steps to combat climate change. He was already sounding the alarm on climate change, way before it was cool, or hot, given the circumstances. He understood the science and the stakes involved. So, would President Gore have single-handedly saved the planet? Well, probably not. The challenges are immense, and no single person can solve them alone. Even Superman couldn't get Congress to agree on the color of the sky. The political landscape is complex, and change requires cooperation and consensus. But Gore would have likely pushed hard for the US to sign the Kyoto Protocol. This international agreement aimed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and was a crucial step in global climate action. That's the international agreement to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, the one Bush pulled out of faster than you can say global warming. It was a significant setback for global efforts. Gore might have also boosted investments in renewable energy. He understood the importance of transitioning to sustainable energy sources. Think solar panels, wind turbines, the whole shebang. These technologies are essential for reducing our carbon footprint and mitigating climate change. Would it have been enough? Hard to say. The fight against climate change is a long and challenging one, requiring sustained effort and innovation. But it definitely would have been a step in the right direction. Every action counts, and leadership matters. Gore's presidency could have set a powerful example for the world to follow. Fast forward to September 11th, 2001. A day that changed everything. Now it's impossible to say for sure how any president would have handled this horrific event. But it's worth noting that Gore had been critical of the Bush administration's handling of terrorism even before 9/11's. He argued that they weren't taking it seriously enough. So, would a President Gore have been better prepared? Again, who knows? But it's possible that with his focus on intelligence and diplomacy, things might have played out differently. Maybe, just maybe, the world would be a slightly less chaotic place. Of course, there's no rewinding the clock, but it does make you think, doesn't it? About how different decisions, different leaders can have massive ripple effects. Now let's talk about Iraq. The war in Iraq was a defining moment of the Bush presidency, and not in a good way. Gore was a vocal critic of the decision to invade Iraq. He argued that it was a distraction from the real fight against terrorism, which, makes sense when you think about it. So would President Gore have invaded Iraq? Almost certainly not. He was all about evidence-based decision-making. And the evidence for WMDs in Iraq? Let's just say it was about as convincing as a pigeon claiming to be a lawyer. Without the Iraq War, who knows what the Middle East would look like today? Would it be more stable? Less? Would the US have spent trillions of dollars on something else like, I don't know, healthcare or education? We'll never know. But it's a question worth pondering. Section 5. The Information Superhighway Revisited, Gore's Tech Vision. Back in the 90s, Al Gore was all about that information superhighway. He was basically the internet's hype man, and he deserves some credit for seeing its potential. So, what would a Gore presidency have meant for technology? Well, for one, faster internet for everyone. Gore was a big advocate for expanding broadband access, especially in rural areas. He saw the internet as a tool for education, economic development, and of course cat videos. He also understood the importance of net neutrality, the idea that all internet traffic should be treated equally. Under Gore, we might have seen a more open and accessible internet, where small businesses could compete with the big dogs, and everyone could enjoy their cat videos in peace. Ah, what could have been. Section 6. Balancing innovation and oversight, privacy and security concerns. But let's not get carried away with all this tech utopia talk. While innovation is exciting and brings numerous benefits, it also comes with its own set of challenges and risks. The more we integrate technology into our lives, the more we expose ourselves to potential threats. Gore also understood that the internet, like a teenager with a credit card, needed some rules and boundaries. Without proper oversight, the digital world can become a Wild West, where anything goes and personal data is up for grabs. He was concerned about online privacy and security, long before Facebook made it cool to harvest your data. In the early days of the internet, the potential for misuse of personal information was already apparent to him. Under a Gore administration, we might have seen stronger privacy regulations, protecting our personal information from corporations and hackers alike. Imagine a world where your data is not just a commodity to be bought and sold, but something that is respected and safeguarded. He might have even anticipated the rise of social media and its impact on democracy. Social media platforms have become powerful tools for communication, but they also pose significant risks to privacy and the integrity of information. Maybe we'd all be using some ethical alternative to Facebook, where our data is safe and our news feeds aren't filled with misinformation, a platform designed with user privacy and ethical standards at its core. Okay, maybe that's a stretch, but it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. The idea of a more responsible and ethical internet is something worth striving for. But the point is, Gore was thinking about these issues before most of us even had a dial-up connection. He was ahead of his time, recognizing the need for a balance between innovation and regulation. He understood that with great technological power comes great responsibility. As we continue to advance, it's crucial to remember the importance of safeguarding our privacy and security, and let's be honest, that's something we could use a little more of these days. In a world where data breaches and privacy concerns are becoming increasingly common, a focus on ethical technology use is more important than ever. Section 7. A Greener America, Environmental Policies under Gore. Remember that whole climate change thing we talked about earlier? Well, Gore wasn't just about reducing emissions. He was also a big believer in conservation, clean energy, and protecting our natural resources. Under a Gore presidency, we might have seen stricter environmental regulations, tougher enforcement of pollution laws, and a more sustainable approach to energy production. Think national parks bigger than your attention span, cleaner air and water, and maybe even a few more polar bears roaming around. Okay, maybe that last one is a bit optimistic. But the point is, Gore was a true believer in environmental protection. He understood that we have a moral obligation to leave a healthy planet for future generations. And you know what? That's not a bad legacy to leave behind. Section 8. The Limits of Speculation, the Butterfly Effect of Politics. Now before we get too carried away with this alternate history fantasy, let's remember one thing. Politics is messy. Like, really messy. The decisions made in the political arena are influenced by countless factors, from personal ambitions to public opinion and even unforeseen events. It's a complex web where every action has a reaction, often in unpredictable ways. It's like trying to herd cats if the cats were constantly arguing about tax cuts and healthcare. Imagine trying to get a group of people, each with their own agendas and beliefs, to agree on a single course of action. It's a near impossible task, filled with compromises and conflicts. Even if Gore had won in 2000, there's no guarantee that he would have been able to achieve all of these things. The political landscape is fraught with challenges, and winning an election is just the beginning. Governing effectively requires navigating a minefield of opposition and negotiation. He would have faced opposition from Republicans, lobbyists, and even some members of his own party. Every policy proposal would have been scrutinized, debated, and potentially blocked by those with differing views and interests. Plus, there's always the unpredictable nature of, well, life. Unexpected events, both domestic and international, can derail even the most well-laid plans. Natural disasters, economic crises, and sudden geopolitical shifts are just a few examples of the wild cards that can change everything. Who knows what kind of global events or national crises might have thrown a wrench into his plans? The world is an unpredictable place, and leaders must constantly adapt to new challenges and realities. The point is, we can speculate all we want about what might have been. It's a fascinating exercise, but ultimately it's just that, speculation. We can never truly know how different decisions might have played out in the grand scheme of things, but the truth is we'll never know for sure. The future is always uncertain, and the past is set in stone. We can learn from history, but we can't change it. History is a one-way street, and there's no turning back. We must move forward, making the best decisions we can with the information and resources available to us. The butterfly effect reminds us of the profound impact of our choices, but it also teaches us the importance of adaptability and resilience in the face of uncertainty. Section 9. What might have been a final thought experiment? So, what's the takeaway from all of this? Well, for one, elections matter. They have consequences, both intended and unintended. And while it's fun to imagine what might have been, it's also important to learn from the past and make informed choices about the future. We may never know for sure what a Gore presidency would have looked like. But by exploring the possibilities, we can gain a deeper understanding of the choices we face as a nation. And who knows, maybe next time we'll choose a leader who actually believes in climate change and doesn't think the internet is a series of tubes. Just a thought.